Choice A says, in a brief response, 3 to 5 sentences, using your own words, define the term emotional intelligence. What do you think that means? In your own words, emotional intelligence. Pedro, take your hood off, please. Or you can choose B. Explain what does it mean to be considered intelligent. What do you think being intelligent means? Or you can choose choice C. List at least 5 examples of different emotions that we might feel on a daily basis. Different options, which is good because that's going to be better for our discussions. So we're now all answering the same question. So I want to go ahead and begin. If you're still working, take about 30 more seconds, but I'm going to go ahead and start the lesson. So who wants to volunteer? Al-Jahad, read, tell us what choice of do now did you choose, and then tell us your response, please.
I chose B.
Read B for the class.
Explain what does it mean to be considered intelligent.
Go for it.
I said what I think it means to be considered intelligent. It means to think smart, act smart, and move in a smart way.
To think smart, act smart, and move smart. That's what you said, right? But what does it mean to be smart? Let me give you an example, Al. If, let's say, I don't know how to do math. Math is not my subject. Does that mean I'm not smart? Can I be smart in other areas other than math? So to be intelligent, can intelligence vary based on what you know and the different type of skills you have? Because I could probably maybe pick a few people out there on Webster Avenue that probably can't even read or write, but they could change a light bulb faster than anybody I know. Is that not a form of intelligence?
Yes.
Right? They know how to do something very well. They might not be intelligent in terms of school, but they're intelligent in terms of electrical wiring, right? All right, that's a good answer though. Go ahead, Winston, go for it.
I chose B. And being intelligent means that you're feeling smart and that you know what you're doing, and also you're paying attention on what you're doing. In today's society, people cannot be smart in school, but they can be smart at doing other objectives.
Very good. In today's society, people don't necessarily have to be smart in terms of an education or academics, but you can be smart in other areas. And as Winston mentioned, other objectives. Tristan, which choice did you choose?
I chose A.
You chose A. All right, you went for the big guns. Emotional intelligence. Go for it.
I said, in my opinion, emotional intelligence is to be self-aware about your emotions as well as knowing how to deal with your emotions.
Tristan used a word. He used a word that we're going to be using a lot today. Can you say that word again? Self-aware. So let's use Tristan's response to his do now to sort of create a discussion real quick. What does it mean to be self-aware? What does it mean to be self-aware? What do you think it means, Jamal? To know who you are. Jamal, your name is Jamal Oscar, right? I know who you are. Do you know your name?
Yeah.
So does that mean just because you know your name, that means you're self-aware?
Yeah.
Okay. Nino, go for it.
To have your guard up.
To have your guard up. What does that mean, to have your guard up?
So like, you know how you are, but other people look at you differently.
All right, so you know who you are, but other people look at you differently, so you got to keep your guard up. You got to constantly protect yourself. You got to protect your image, right? Pedro.
I think self-aware means to not let anybody get into your mind and be who you are.
So we keep coming back around the same answer, to be who we are. But who are we? Who are we?
We're human beings.
Say that again?
Human beings.
We're human. And are humans perfect? So can we say that even though we are self-aware, even though we know who we are, can we sometimes forget ourselves?
Yes.
Does that happen to you guys sometimes?
Yes.
Do you sometimes forget yourself?
Yes.
Like, I know I'm a good person, but sometimes when someone really pisses me off, I'm not so nice of a person anymore, am I? And you guys seen it firsthand. When you guys upset Mr. Perez, doesn't my anger come out? And when my anger comes out, I'm not a pleasant person to be around, right? Well, that's what we're going to learn about today. I want you to read me the learning target. Zay, go for it.
I can define the term emotional intelligence to using the ruler strategy to effectively manage your emotions.
This is where we start. Because anything that happens to us is because any emotions that we are feeling is because we are triggered by certain things, right? We are triggered by events and situations that happen out there in the world, that happen here in the classroom, that happen in the lunchroom or the cafeteria, at your house, anywhere. These are things, these triggers are things that occur and we have no control over. And we let these things control our emotions. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? All right, so Tristan, read that for me. What is a trigger?
Triggers can be certain situations that occur in our lives that change our emotional state.
That change our emotional state. What do I mean by change our emotional state, Winston?
Not all triggers are bad. Sometimes things happen, but that get us really excited. Things are good triggers. These are good triggers.
Very good. But the question before I wanted to read that was, what does it mean to change our emotional state? Say.
What it means to change your emotional state is like when you're in your emotions, it's a certain way that you can control it and let it go.
Okay, so there are certain ways you can control your emotions. But right now, I'm cool. Is that my emotional state? Right now, I'm feeling nice and calm and relaxed, right? I got 808 up in here. We're about to learn some emotional intelligence, so I'm nice and relaxed, right? So is that my emotional state?
Yes.
But let's say Miss Barry comes in here, and Miss Barry starts giving me a lecture on how my classroom is a mess, or how I gotta update a lot of my Mastery Connect data stuff, teacher stuff. Is that gonna change my emotional state?
Yes.
How is it gonna change? Is it gonna change it for the good, or is it gonna change it for the bad? It's gonna change it for the bad, because now I'm like, oh, if I didn't already have enough to do, now I gotta go ahead and do this, right? Now, can I get mad at Miss Barry for that? No, because she's doing her what? Her job. She's doing her job. She's my supervisor, so she's gonna roll up in here and she's gonna say, fix this, fix that, fix that. Where's my data? And I can't get mad at her because that's her job. Her job is to supervise me to make sure I'm doing my job, right? So should I let that change my emotional state?
No.
No, I gotta learn how to handle that and say, okay, no problem, I'll take care of it. Easy. Now, it might not be easy, because it might be a lot of work on me, but at the end of the day, is she asking me to do something outside of what I'm already expected to do? So do I have a right to be upset at Ms. Barry for that? See, a lot of you guys get upset at your teachers, right? For example, I can say, Jerry, do your work. And Jerry's gonna respond by sucking his teeth. Am I the bad guy in this situation?
No.
But why did Jerry respond negatively? Raise your hand. Why did Jerry respond negatively, Keon?
Probably because he probably don't want to be told what to do.
Probably. Maybe Jerry doesn't like being told what to do. Maybe Jerry's tired. Maybe Jerry doesn't feel like writing down anything. Maybe he just wants to sit here and count the hours away. But Mr. Perez, as the teacher, doing my job, I have to tell Jerry to stay on task. Does that make me the bad guy?
No.
But in Jerry's eyes, am I the bad guy?
Yes.
And so is Jerry gonna take his emotions out on me?
Yes.
Is it fair to Mr. Perez?
No.
Whenever we take our emotions out on other people, is it fair to other people? Exactly. So what you have to learn how to do is not only recognize your own emotions, this is the whole purpose of the mood meter. Not only to recognize your emotions, but you also have to recognize the emotions in other people. You have to know and recognize how you respond to other people in certain situations. I'm not gonna take my bad day out on you guys. Even though I could have had an argument with my wife before I got to work this morning, right? We could have been arguing about bills, or our kids, or rent. We could have been arguing about anything. And I could come into this building so mad and so upset that I'm just ready to punch something. But is it fair to you guys if I take my anger out on you?
No.
So why should we take our anger out on other people? All right, so once again, Winston read this. Are all triggers bad? No. Today is W-2's day. W-2s are basically our tax statements, right? I'm happy because we're getting our W-2s back today. And that basically means that that's money in the bank for me. As long as I have those W-2s, I do my TurboTax, and I know that I'm gonna get a couple of G's up in here, right? Because I'm a taxpayer, and I get some money back from the government. So Is that a good trigger or a bad trigger? That's a good trigger. I can't wait till I get that paper in my hand and take it home and punch in those numbers. Unless, of course, the state says, hey, by the way, you're not getting nothing back, but you owe us $3,000. Is that going to be a good trigger or a bad trigger? Bad trigger. But do I have a right to get mad at the state?
No.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
You owe.
Obviously not. I don't have a right to get mad at the state, right? Because obviously I didn't pay enough taxes and Uncle Sam just wants their cut, right? That's the country we live in. But what I want you guys to recognize is there are such things as bad triggers and there are such things as good triggers, okay? You have to know the difference. So this is what I want you guys to do right now. We want first to identify our triggers. So I want you to list at least 2 things that occur in your life that make you very upset. It could be anything. It could be something that happens in school. It could be something that happens at home. It could be anything. I want you to list 2 things that make you very upset. And then after that, I want you to list 2 things that make you excited. Volunteer, Winston, give me 1 thing that makes you very upset.
When I hear that my mom's in the hospital,
When you hear that your mom is in the hospital,
what she is currently.
where she is currently, and that makes you upset. Why does that make you upset?
It's not some news. You just want to go home. All of a sudden, go to the hospital. Your mom is in pain. Just not prepared.
So it's one thing, you come to school, you go to school, and then you come home and you find out that your mom is in the hospital. Is your mom in the hospital a lot? So she's obviously suffering from some kind of illness, right? And that makes you upset. All right. And as you can see, Winston's getting a little emotional, right? And it's okay. Because how many of us here love our mothers? Right? We all love our mothers. Okay? All right, let's keep focused. But Winston, so you identified your trigger. You know what's making you upset. So listen, look at me. It's okay, all right? Because I'm gonna show you how to handle that emotion. I'm gonna show you how to handle that, okay? For the rest of the lesson. So it's all right. Don't worry about it. But I'm glad that you brought that up because how many of us constantly get worried about our parents on a daily basis? I remember when I was a kid, I used to always get so scared whenever my mother was coming late home from work. I used to get so scared because I don't know what happened to her. My mother's usually home by 4 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock and she's not home, and right off the bat, my mind starts thinking, what if she got hit by a bus? What if she got shot? What if she got mugged? I start thinking the worst. And next thing you know, come to find out that she only came home 2 hours late because she stopped to get some food with some friends of hers. Or maybe the bus that she was on was delayed. And I'm over here stressing myself out over something that I don't even know what the truth is. I don't even know why she's late. But I'm already automatically assuming the negative. Right? Now, Winston, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. And we're going to talk more about that later, me and you, one-on-one, okay? But for the sake of the lesson, Winston's trigger is his mom. Whenever he hears or finds out that his mom is in the hospital, automatically he starts getting upset. He starts getting upset, and obviously, what is another emotion that we can recognize in Winston? Say that again, Nino? Sadness. So it's not just upset. He's upset. He's not just upset, but he's also sad. Okay? And is it easy for somebody who is upset and sad to come in here and do work? No. Is it easy for him to come here and listen to Mr. Perez and do his learning targets? Is it easy for him to handle all that?
No.
Obviously not, because Winston's got a lot on his mind right now. And the last thing he cares about is what we're learning in science class. He's worried about his mom. Can I get upset at him for that? No, it wouldn't be right for me to do so because I know what it's like to be upset. I know what it's like to be sad. And when I'm in that position, when I'm feeling upset and sad, the last thing I want to do is be bothered by anybody. Raise your hand if you ever have moments where you just want to be left alone. You don't want nobody to talk to you. You don't want to even hear from your cat or your dog. Like, get out of my room, leave me alone. How many, all right, for those of you who have your hand up, how many of you actually feel that way more than once a week? So obviously, as students, as a teacher, like myself, how am I going to be able to teach you guys? How am I going to be able to get your attention and have you engaged in what I'm trying to teach you about science if your minds are elsewhere? If your emotions are like a roller coaster all over the place? how am I going to be able to teach you? And I can't even get upset at you for that. Because every single one of us here lives different lives. You don't know everybody's situation. Let me hear another trigger. What's one thing that makes you upset?
Being told I'm too old to act the way I do.
Being told that you're too old to act the way you do. How old are you?
15.
How old are you?
15.
15. When are you turning 16?
In March.
March. So right off the bat, you naturally think, I'm going to be 16 years old in the 8th grade. And all your teachers are constantly saying, you're going to be 16. Why are you acting like a kid? Why are you acting like a kid? And that upsets you, right? But why does that upset you? Do you think they're telling you that because they're making fun of you?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? You think teachers in this building are making fun of you?
Usually.
Why would a teacher who's in charge of educating you and counseling you, why would they want to make fun of a student? Did you ever think about that? If anybody is a teacher, it's because they actually care about children. They care about educating children. Believe me, it's not easy to be a teacher. Raise your hand if you think it's easy to be a teacher. Zay, you think it's easy to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think it's easy to be a teacher?
All you gotta do is be with your class and do what you gotta do.
All you have to do is manage a class and do what you gotta do. You agree with him? So you think teaching is just rolling up in here and showing a PowerPoint, making you copy a couple of notes, and that's it? That's our job?
Yeah.
Not that, but like you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta plan everything on time. You gotta wake up early in the morning just to come. That's her. All you basically doing is doing your
Same
job.
thing you gotta do as a
Okay,
student.
so let me ask you this then, Zay. All right, I respect what Zay said, right? Because Zay's under the impression that teaching is just about, as long as you do what you gotta do, there shouldn't be no problems, right? So Zay, you're my student, right? You're doing my work. You're doing what you gotta do, and I'm teaching you, so I'm doing what I gotta do. But then I got Ashley coming up in here with tears in her eyes. I don't know what's bothering her. Ashley doesn't want to open the notebook. Ashley doesn't want to do the work. So as a teacher, since it's so easy, Zay, how would you handle that situation?
Well, I would take my student out for the whole real quick and ask her what happened, and then tell her to wipe her tears out and come back into class right after she tell me what happened to her.
Okay, so that's a good response. I like that. That shows maturity. But while you're consoling Ashley in the hallway, there's nobody else in the classroom, is there? So
No.
the rest of your class is all jumping around the tables, running around the room. What do you do in that situation?
So, well, whoever's running around the classroom, they're gonna stay after school.
They're gonna stay after school.
Yeah.
But how can you tell if you're outside with Ashley?
Well, I'm not outside with her. I'm peeking through the window, and I'm right next to her.
So if you're peeking through the window while you're talking to Ashley, are you giving Ashley 100% of your attention?
Not really.
So
but
Ashley is automatically gonna think, why is this teacher trying to talk to me? He's not even looking at me, he's looking at the other students. He doesn't care about me. I don't wanna talk to him, just leave me alone.
So then, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell Ashley to go to her counselor. Then all I have to do is come back to class, manage my class, and I'm good.
Okay. So you think teaching is easy. All right, that's fair enough. And you know, I think you'd be a great teacher, actually, Zay. Because that response that you told me about taking Ashley in the hallway, that's a good response. All right, it shows that you are, you're aware that your student is not feeling well, and that's the first step in emotional intelligence, is being aware, not just of your own emotions, but of other people's emotions. So you was aware she's not feeling well, so now you want to console her out in the hallway.
Yeah, because if you never see them act like cry like this, so it's like there's got to be something wrong going on with them. So you might as well.
Okay. Now, Al Jihad is under the impression that he's 16 in the 8th grade, so teachers are making fun of him. Is it just teachers, or is it also students, Al? It's also students. Now, without getting too personal, is there a reason? Quick. We all seen the movie all around the school, right? And it's sort of like math class, right? When you graph in inequalities and stuff like that, you have your negative sides, and then you have your positive sides, right? Now, I want you to look at these adjectives up here. Let's read some of these words off. These adjectives are just different emotions that we could be feeling at different times. Every day you walk in here, you could be anywhere on this meter. You could be happy because you just got a bacon, egg, and cheese and it was delicious in the morning. You could be upset because you didn't have enough money to get the bacon, egg, and cheese, right? You could be like, all right, well, I'm not even that hungry, so you could be content. I had a nice dinner. I didn't eat breakfast, but I'm not that hungry. I'm good. Or you could be sad because the bacon, egg, and cheese didn't taste so good. And you might say, what's this about bacon, egg, and cheese? Because little things like that can change our emotional state. You'll be surprised how the littlest detail can change the way we are feeling in a second. Just like that. I could be upset because that bacon, egg, and cheese was disgusting. So I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. I'm angry because that bacon, egg, and cheese tasted like right? But then Suhaili comes in and she has mango. And she's not hungry anymore and she gives me the rest. And that was the best thing I ate all day. So now, because of one little meal, because of a bite of her mango, now I'm back in the yellow. And then Mr. Perez yells at me because I'm eating mango in class. So now I'm back in the red. Do you see how we constantly move across this meter every second of the day? Now, the whole trick is to be able to capture, be able to recognize how you're feeling, and be able to manage it, to be able to handle your emotions. And there's a strategy that I want us to go over. Understanding how we are feeling is only half the battle. Look at the caption at the top. So, I know I'm mad. So what now? I recognize that I'm angry. I know what made me angry. I know what triggered my anger. I know I'm mad. But what do I do about it? How do I get unmad? How do I become happy? I don't even know if unmad is a word, but whatever. Unmad. How do I get unmad? How do I get happy? Well, this is what I'm going to teach you right now. Okay, the next step is to be able to control the feeling and maintain a positive frame of mind. Control the feeling. So, look at this acronym right here. It's called RULER. RULER. And I want us to identify the first words in every sentence here. So, read me the first one, Anaya. What is that word? Recognizing. Recognize your emotions in yourself and others. Recognize that they're upset, okay? I recognize that Ashley is, something's obviously bothering Ashley. Now, I'm not going to ask her what it is because I'm pretty sure she doesn't want us in her business, right, Ashley? But I recognize that she's upset, okay? Now, understanding the causes and consequences of your emotions. So not only do you have to recognize your emotion, but you have to understand why you're feeling that way. Understand what triggered you. So it's basically, why am I upset? Why am I happy? Why am I relaxed? Understand what's causing you to feel that way. And then once you understand it, what do we do now? Omar. Labeling. Now you label your emotions accurately. You say, okay, do I have a reason to feel this way? So, step one, I recognize Ashley's upset, right? Now, step two, I understand what made her upset. I know what triggered her. Maybe she got yelled at by Miss Barry. Maybe she got yelled at by Mr. Dominguez. Maybe she lost her phone. I understand what triggered her. Now what I'm going to do is question whether or not it's a good enough reason for her to be upset. Whether or not it's something that she should really be upset about, or is it something that I can help her calm down with. I'm labeling her emotions. And now I'm going to expect Ashley to express her emotions appropriately. What does it mean to express your emotions appropriately, Zay?
To show you your emotion. Like to show you why you like that.
Okay, let me give you an example.
Properly.
I come in here and I'm upset. I'm upset because I got into a car accident before I came to work, or I got stuck in traffic. So the first thing that I do is I barge in this room and I say, everybody sit down and do your work now.
Your body.
Did I express my emotions appropriately? Who did I express my emotions to? My students, right? Next time I want you guys to raise your hand, okay? I express my emotions to my students, but did I do it appropriately? Is that the right thing? Is that a moral thing? Is that morally correct for me to come in here and is it okay for me to express my anger out on you guys? No, it's not okay, right? It's not fair to you. You didn't do nothing wrong to me. You wasn't the one who made me stuck in traffic. You wasn't the one who caused me to get into a car accident. So is it fair that I'm taking my anger out on you? All right, so this is what I want you guys to recognize. A lot of times, especially you students, you take your anger out on other people. And usually the ones you take your anger out on the most are teachers and staff members in this building. And you know that's a fact. Raise your hand if you ever lashed out on a teacher or Mr. Dominguez or Miss Barry because you were upset about something that happened to you that had nothing to do with them, but because they're in your face telling you to get to class, you took your anger out on them. Is that expressing your emotions appropriately? Is it fair to them that they have to get your anger? Especially since they were the ones that did not cause you to be angry in the first place. They're just doing their job, right? And then finally, regulating. So we have the ruler method. Recognizing, understanding, labeling, expressing, and then finally regulating. Once you identify why you're upset, once you identify what caused you to be upset, once you identify is it a good enough reason for you to be upset, and once you identify how you're supposed to express yourself, now you do something to change it. I know that I got into a car accident in the morning. I know that I'm upset, but I am not going to allow myself to take my anger out on the innocent students that I have in this classroom when they did nothing wrong to me yet. And there's always a yet, right? But I'm not going to allow myself to do that. It's called regulating your emotions. Now, I want us to practice this, okay? So this is what's going to happen. I pretty much broke down the ruler method into questions. Mr. Perez, I'm going to act out a scenario for you, right? And you're going to use the ruler method to identify my emotions. So these are the questions I want you to fill out while I'm acting out this scenario. What is my emotion? Why am I angry? Do I have a good reason to be angry? Did I handle my emotions in a good way? What could I have done differently? All right? So I want you guys to pay attention to that, and I'm going to act out a scenario for you. Pay attention to me. I'm a student, right? I'm coming up in here. It's the beginning of the morning. Or let's say I'm coming out of Mr. Adams' class, right? So here we go. I can't stand Mr. Adams. Always messing with me. 20 essay. That's ridiculous. This ain't college. Yo, word two, I'm gonna change my class, B. This is ridiculous.
I think that's me.
What are you looking at? What are you laughing at me for? Why are you laughing? Yo, who wanna get smacked up in here?
Mister, why you trying to be like
Don't
me?
talk to me. Whatever, man. This 20-page essay. Yo, how many of y'all work two, how many of y'all did that essay? How many of y'all did Mr. Adam work? One person, you see? Yo, we should all sign a letter saying that we want to remove for our teacher. It's ridiculous. Decided this already, man. I don't even want to be here. Now, you guys are laughing because it's funny, right? But raise your hand if you ever seen students respond that way to any of your teachers. Does that happen on a daily basis? For the most part, right? So, using the ruler method, let's recognize what's going on here. What was my emotion? Raise your hand. Tristan.
Upset.
Why was I upset? So now, why am I angry? Why was I upset, sweetie? Because Mr. Adams gave me a 20-page essay. That made me angry, right? Now, did I have a good enough reason to be angry?
No.
You guys say no?
Yeah.
All right. So why is it not a good enough reason to be angry? I mean, 20 pages seems like a lot of work, right? So why is it not a good enough reason to be angry, Nino?
Because you don't know if he's just testing you to see what you're capable of.
I don't know if Mr. Adams is trying to, as Nino said, trying to challenge me, trying to challenge my abilities. Because Mr. Adams is my teacher, and he recognizes that I have the capability of writing good quality essays, even if it has to be 20 pages to get it right. So do I have a reason to be upset at Mr. Adams? Why partly?
Because you have to take time out of your day to do a 20-page essay.
Because I have to take time out of my day. But am I a student in a school?
Yes.
So isn't it not my job during the day and after school to perform the work that is given to me here in this building?
Not a 20-page essay.
Nino, let me ask you this. Do you have a job when you get out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah? You have a job, for real?
No.
Exactly. So what is your only job right now at 14, 15, and 16 years old? What is your only
To
job?
go to school.
To go to school. So are you upset at Mr. Adams because he assigned you a 20-page essay, which is technically your job as a student to get an education? Now, I can understand if you had an 8-hour job after you get out of here, which a lot of people in college do, and then that's a whole different stress management when you get to college. I'm not going to lie to you. Because now you have to balance a lot of different things. But for and we recognize that I'm upset now because my laptop died and I'm being recorded by a camera and my technology went off, right? Do I have a reason to be upset?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
But is it my fault that the laptop died?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you think it's my fault the laptop died. All right, it is my fault because I should have recognized that my battery was low and I should have plugged my charger in like an hour ago. But
Somebody stole your charger.
did somebody steal my charger?
No, we don't know.
No, they didn't. It's in my book bag, right? But
I mean, we didn't have to know that.
but let's say, well, not let's say, my laptop actually did die. Do I have a reason to be upset and take my anger out on you guys? No. What do I have to do to rectify the situation? What do I have to do?
Put it on the charger.
Just simply go to my book bag, right? I go to my book bag, and even as a teacher, this happens to us a lot. To many teachers, right? I'm not gonna, oh my God, my laptop died. No, I'm just gonna simply go, grab my charger, plug it into the wall, and charge my laptop. And no one has to be upset about it. Nobody has to get all crazy, all nervous. Oh, what if Miss Barry walks in here or Miss Otterbridge or Coleman to do an observation and I don't have nothing on the smart board? Oh no, I gotta hurry up and do this. Sit down and pay attention. No, it doesn't have to be this way. Oh, my laptop died. Let me plug it in. No big deal. Okay? Now, recognizing your emotions is half the battle. What's the other half of the battle? Somebody tell me.
Controlling.
Say it again.
Controlling.
Controlling your emotions. So now let's go back to the triggers. Somebody tell me, what is something that triggers you? What is something that makes you, let's start with the upset triggers. What is one thing that makes you upset? Lanaya, read me one. You're quiet now.
My sister when she talks on the phone all night and it's annoying.
When your sister talks on the phone all night,
Yes,
you guys share the same room,
yes.
and she's on the phone all night.
24/7.
And you're trying to sleep, and you can't get some sleep because your sister's on that phone.
Yes,
So you get upset?
yes.
So how do you respond to that?
Can you please like be quiet and lower it down?
And what if she tells you, no, I'm not lowering nothing. You can close your ears for all I care. What are you gonna do?
I just go back to sleep. That's it.
Are you able to go back to sleep?
Sometimes.
So sometimes, but sometimes she's too loud.
Yeah.
So in the event that you can't sleep because she's too loud, what do? Do you just stay up all night and you don't get any sleep?
No, I just go upstairs
You just go upstairs?
and watch TV.
Oh, so you do stay up. Is there anywhere else you can go to sleep in the house other than your room when your sister's being too loud?
I sleep upstairs in the living room. I just watch TV and sleep in the living room.
And you sleep in the living room. Do you like sleeping in the living room?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you ever respond to your sister in a negative way? Like, do you ever just try to take her phone and throw it across the room?
I've been thinking about doing it, but I don't do it.
You be thinking about doing it.
Yeah, 'cause she has an iPhone. She's always on.
Now, did you ever tell your mom if she can tell your sister to stop talking on the phone?
Yeah, she does, but she don't. She okay. She don't listen.
So she says okay, but as soon as Mom Duke leaves, she's back on the phone again.
Yeah.
But so you want to respond with negative anger, but you choose not to.
Yeah.
Instead, you choose to say, okay, well, there's nothing I can really do about it. She's my older sister. She's your older sister, right?
Yeah.
She's my older sister. There's nothing I can do about it. So instead of lashing out with anger and throwing her cell phone across the room or fighting her, you say, you know what, the living room's not so bad, I'll just sleep in the living room tonight. And do you still get your sleep? Do you still wake up refreshed? Okay, so can we say that Lanaya has a good handle on handling her emotions?
Yes.
And why do we say that? Why do we say that Lanaya has a good handle on her emotions, Winston?
Because she just leaves your room instead of having to deal with her sister talking on the phone.
Because, yes, she recognized why she's upset. First, she recognized that she's upset. And then she, remember the ruler method, she recognized why she's upset. Now she understands why she's upset, right? Because her sister that's what's triggering her sister talking on the phone. And now she labels it. Is this a big enough reason to attack my sister in a negative way? No. So she recognizes, she labeled her emotion, she realized it wasn't that big enough of a reason. So then she expressed her emotion by saying, can you please stop talking so I can get some sleep? Her sister didn't respond the way she wanted to, so instead she regulated. She regulated her emotion. Ruler, okay? She regulated her emotion by saying, I'm just gonna get up and go sleep on the bed, okay? And she still gets her sleep. She just said herself that the sofa's not so bad. She gets to watch TV, so maybe she don't mind every now and then sleeping on the sofa. But if it becomes too much of a problem, then she obviously is gonna wanna lash out, and then that's when you have to get your mother involved, right? Be like, Ma, I'm not getting any sleep, and I'm falling asleep in class. So something's gotta either give me my own room or kick her out.
I'm gonna have to sleep instead because my mom gets cranky when we wake her up.
Your mom gets cranky when you wake up? Everybody's mom gets cranky when they wake them up. Alright, my mother used to smack me when I woke up. And that's even when she was awake. Alright, let me get one more trigger. One more trigger, and then we're gonna use, once again, break down the ruler method to identify what can we do to control our emotions. Jamal, give me one trigger.
The environment that I live in, and when I always have to watch my back anywhere I go.
Why do you feel you need to watch your back everywhere you go?
Because, like, for an example, I can just be walking on the street, and then some people are driving their cars and they don't know how to drive, so they get in a car accident, and I accidentally get inside of it.
So you walk on the streets every day in constant fear that something bad's gonna happen
Not
to you?
always on the streets, it can be anywhere.
But you wake up every morning thinking something bad's gonna happen to you? Is that your fear? Is that what you fear on a daily basis, that something bad's gonna happen to you?
Well, like, not on a daily basis, like the same, like I think the same thing for my family too.
So it's not just you worry for your family too. So you are pretty much scared of the outside world. Well, I'm not gonna use the word scared because you're probably gonna think of the word scared as soft. I'm not calling you soft. What I'm basically saying is you are paranoid. Well, that's a bad word too. You are concerned about what's happening out there in the outside world, and you are afraid that it's gonna affect you and your family. Right? All right, so is there a reason why you feel that way? Did something bad happen to you when you was younger or something?
Something happened to my family.
Something happened to one of your family members. Do you want to talk about it, or it's too personal? It's too personal? Okay, but something bad happened to one of your family members. And because of that, now you live in a constant state of concern. Now let me ask you something. How old are you?
13.
You're 13 years old. How many years have you been alive?
13.
13 years, right? Now, hey, you'd be surprised, okay? Now, so you've been alive for 13 years. In those 13 years, how many times, can you count how many times you walked outside in those 13 years? Obviously not, because it's too much, right? But in all those times, did anything ever happen to you? Okay, so is that a reason to really be upset? Is that a reason to be scared and concerned? Think about it. When you put it in terms of numbers, in 13 years that you've been alive, nothing has happened to you. Nothing. Nothing, at least, I mean, of course things happen, but nothing that causes you concern for fear, right?
Well, like, not like that.
Not like that, right? That's what I mean. Not like that, right? Nothing bad has happened to the point where you're scared to walk out that door, right? In 13 years. Now, what if somebody told you that in a plane, some people are afraid to take planes, right? What if somebody told you that the plane didn't crash in 13 years? In 13 years, that airline has never had an accident. Are you gonna be afraid to fly that plane?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
no,
would.
no, 'cause-
You will still be afraid to fly?
Yeah.
I was still be afraid.
If in 13 years nothing has happened, don't you think that kind of makes it a safe airline?
No,
It's
because
like a jinx. It's like
because it could still happen. If it happened before, there's still a possibility that it could happen.
What if the airline was open longer than 13 years and it's only been 13 years that they haven't crashed?
Okay, so basically, you're worried about that one time that something bad could happen, and because your minds are so wrapped around your negative thoughts, all you are worried about is that one time that it could happen. You're not thinking that, well, this plane has taken off 10 times a day for the past 13 years and nothing has ever happened. But because one time something happens, you automatically assume that it's always going to happen. Is that a rational way of thinking?
Not always.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not a rational way of thinking. If one time something happened, out of 13 years of good things happening, I think it's safe to say that you don't have to be so concerned anymore. Okay? Obviously, the streets are not as dangerous as you think it is.